I went into debt so she could have the wedding of her dreams. But when I got sick, she said, "Your son is not my responsibility." Years later, she came to me desperate for work. I looked at her, calm and cold, and said, "You're right, you're not my problem." Asterisk, asterisk. That's what I told my sister-in-law last month. The woman who once wore a $30,000 dress I paid for. The woman who smiled in every wedding photo while I was drowning in credit card bills. The woman who turned her back on me and my son when we needed her most. You want to know how it feels to watch karma work in real time? Let me tell you my story. My name is Rachel. I'm 31, I live in Ohio, and I'm a senior financial analyst for a mid-sized consulting firm. I've always been good with numbers, good with planning, good with seeing 3 steps ahead, but back when I was 24 and stupid with love for my family, I didn't see what was coming at all. It started 7 years ago, when my younger brother Marcus told me he was getting married. I was so happy for him. Marcus was 26, working as a sales associate at a car dealership, and he'd just proposed to his girlfriend of 2 years, Vanessa. She was beautiful, bubbly, and always perfectly put together. The kind of woman who wore heels to brunch and never had a hair out of place. I didn't know her well, but she seemed sweet enough. Marcus was over the moon. Then came the wedding planning. Vanessa had dreams, big dreams. She wanted a venue with chandeliers and marble floors. She wanted a live band, a 7-tier cake, 200 guests, and a dress that costs more than my car. Marcus was making decent money, but not that kind of money. My parents had already helped him with the down payment on a house, so they couldn't contribute much. Vanessa's parents were going through some financial difficulties, which I later learned meant they were flat broke and hiding it behind expensive handbags. One night, Marcus came to my apartment. He looked exhausted. "Ratch, I need to ask you something, and I hate that I have to." I made him tea and sat down. "What's going on?" "Vanessa wants this huge wedding. Like a magazine level huge. And I want to give it to her, I really do. But we're short about $25,000. I was wondering if, maybe, you could help us out? Just a loan. We'll pay you back within 2 years, I swear." I should have said no. I should have told him to scale back, to have a smaller wedding, to start their marriage without drowning in debt. But I didn't. 'Cause Marcus was my baby brother and I'd always taken care of him. Our parents were older, not great with money, and I'd been the responsible one since I was 16. I'd worked 2 jobs through college to help keep the lights on at home. I'd co-signed his first apartment lease. I'd helped him study for his exams. I couldn't just abandon him now. So I said yes. I took out a personal loan for $15,000 at a terrible interest rate. I emptied my savings for another $8,000. I even put $3,000 on my credit card. $26,000 total. I handed it all to Marcus with one condition. He had to pay me back in installments starting 6 months after the wedding. He hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. "You're the best sister in the world. I promise, Rach, we'll pay you back. Every cent." Vanessa sent me a text an hour later. Asterisk, "Thank you so much, Rachel. You're literally an angel. Oh my God, I can't wait for you to see everything." Asterisk, the wedding was beautiful. I'll give her that. The venue looked like something out of a fairy tale. The flowers were stunning. The food was incredible. Vanessa wore a custom gown with lace sleeves and a cathedral train, and she looked like a princess. Everyone kept saying it was the most beautiful wedding they'd ever seen. I sat at my table in a dress I'd bought on sale 3 years earlier, smiling for photos, pretending I wasn't thinking about the 17% interest rate on my credit card. 6 months later, I texted Marcus about the first payment. He said they were still settling into married life and asked if I could wait another few months. I said okay. 3 months after that, I asked again. He said Vanessa had just started a new job and they were tight on cash. I said okay. Another 3 months passed, another excuse, another delay. A year went by. I'd paid off some of the debt, but I was still drowning. I was working overtime, skipping meals, canceling plans with friends because I couldn't afford to go out. I started getting stress headaches that wouldn't go away. Then I met someone. His name was Daniel, and he was kind and patient and everything I didn't know I needed. We started dating, and 6 months later, I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we were both happy. Daniel proposed right there in my living room with a ring he'd saved up for, and I cried like a baby. But here's the thing about life. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. I was 4 months pregnant when I started feeling really, really tired. Not normal pregnancy, tired. The kind of tired where you can't get out of bed. Where your limbs feel like lead. I went to the doctor thinking it was anemia or something simple. They ran tests, and then more tests. And then they sat me down and told me I had an autoimmune condition that was being triggered by the pregnancy. Nothing life-threatening, they said, but serious. I'd need medication, regular monitoring, and a lot of rest. I'd probably have to go on short-term disability from work, which meant no income, which meant no way to keep paying off my debt. I panicked. Daniel was freelancing at the time and didn't have steady income either. We had some savings, but not enough to cover everything. I needed help, so I called Marcus. Hey Rach, what's up? I need to talk to you about the loan. I know it's been hard, but I'm in a really bad spot right now. I'm pregnant and I've got diagnosed with this condition and I have to stop working for a while. I really need you to start paying me back. Even just a little bit each month would help. Silence. Then, Rachel, you know we've been struggling too, right? We just bought new furniture for the house. And Vanessa's car broke down last month, so we had to get that fixed. We're barely making it as it is. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Marcus, I went into debt for your wedding. I'm asking for help now because I need it. Please, I hear you, but we just can't right now. Maybe in a few months? I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just said, okay. Fine. 2 weeks later, I saw on social media that Marcus and Vanessa had gone on a weekend trip to a beach resort. There were photos of them holding cocktails, smiling and matching sunglasses. The caption said something about much-needed relaxation. I stared at those photos for a long time. Then I closed the app and cried until I couldn't breathe. When I was 7 months pregnant, things got worse. My condition flared up badly, and my doctor put me on strict bed rest. Daniel was doing his best, but we were barely scraping by. I couldn't work. We couldn't afford childcare for when the baby came. I was terrified. I swallowed my pride and called Marcus again. I explained everything. I begged him to help me. Even just $1,000 would make a difference. He sighed, Rachel, I'm sorry, but we really can't. Vanessa just started talking about maybe trying for a baby ourselves, and we need to save up for that. Something inside me snapped. You're saving up for a hypothetical baby while I'm about to have a real one and I can't even afford diapers. Don't guilt trip me, Rach. You chose to help us. That's on you. I hung up. I didn't cry this time, I just felt numb. A week later, my son was born. Benjamin, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. Perfect in every way. Daniel and I were exhausted and broke and scared, but we were happy. I texted Marcus and Vanessa to let them know. Vanessa responded with, *congrats. So happy for you guys. They didn't visit. They didn't send a gift. They didn't call. When Benjamin was 3 weeks old, I got an infection and had to be hospitalized for 2 days. Daniel was overwhelmed trying to take care of a newborn alone. He called Marcus and asked if he and Vanessa could come help for just one afternoon. Just a few hours so he could sleep and get groceries. Marcus said he'd ask Vanessa. An hour later, I got a text from Vanessa. Hey Rachel, I'm really sorry, but I don't think I can help. I don't really have experience with babies, and honestly, your son is not my responsibility. I hope you feel better though. I've read that message over and over again. Your son is not my responsibility. I'd given her the wedding of her dreams. I'd gone into debt for her. And now, when I needed her for a few hours, she couldn't be bothered. I didn't respond. I saved the message. I knew I'd need it someday. When I got out of the hospital, I blocked both of them on everything. I didn't make an announcement. I didn't send a dramatic text. I just cut them out quietly, cleanly, completely. My parents called me a week later. Why aren't you answering Marcus's messages? He's worried about you. I'm done with him. Rachel, he's your brother. He's also someone who took my money and abandoned me when I needed him. I'm done. They tried to convince me to forgive him, to be the bigger person, to think about family. I told them I'd think about it, but I never did. I had a son to raise and a life to rebuild. I didn't have time for people who saw me as a bank account with no feelings. The years passed. Daniel and I got married in a courthouse ceremony with 2 witnesses. We were happy. I went back to work when Benjamin was 6 months old, and I clawed my way up in my career. I worked hard, got promoted, paid off every last cent of that debt. It took me 4 years, but I did it. I rebuilt my credit. I bought a house. I made sure my son would never feel the kind of financial terror I'd felt. I didn't talk to Marcus or Vanessa. They tried reaching out a few times through my parents, but I never responded. I heard through the grapevine that things weren't going well for them. Marcus had lost his job at the dealership. Vanessa had bounced between 3 different sales positions in 2 years. They were struggling. I didn't care. Or at least, I told myself I didn't. Then, 3 months ago, something happened that changed everything. I was at my office, finishing up a quarterly report, when my assistant knocked on the door. "Rachel, there's someone here to see you." "She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's urgent. Her name is Vanessa." My hands froze on my keyboard. I hadn't seen or spoken to Vanessa in nearly 6 years. "Tell her I'm busy. She's crying in the lobby." She said she really needs to talk to you. I could have said no. I could have had security escort her out. But curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to see what desperation looked like on her. "Fine, send her in." A minute later, Vanessa walked into my office. She looked different, older, tired. Her designer handbag was gone, replaced with something generic and worn. Her hair wasn't perfect anymore. Her eyes were red and swollen. She stood in front of my desk like a defendant waiting for a verdict. "Hi, Rachel." I didn't stand, I didn't smile. I just looked at her. "What do you want?" I need to talk to you. About a job." I leaned back in my chair. "Go on." She swallowed hard. "Marcus and we've been going through a really hard time. He got let go from his job 8 months ago, and I've been hopping between temp positions, but nothing stable. We're drowning in bills, we might lose the house. I heard through your mom that your company is hiring for a sales coordinator position, and I thought maybe you could put in a word for me, or at least let me apply." I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. She kept talking, faster now, desperate. "I know we haven't talked in a long time, and I know things got complicated, but we're family, Rachel. And I'm really, really struggling. I just need a chance. Please." I let the silence stretch. I wanted her to feel every second of it. Finally, I spoke. My voice was calm, cold. "Do you remember what you said to me 6 years ago?" Her face went pale. "Rachel, you said my son was not your responsibility. I was young and stupid, okay? I didn't mean it like that. I was just overwhelmed and..." I held up my hand. She stopped talking. "You're right, Vanessa. He wasn't your responsibility, just like you're not mine." Her eyes filled with tears. "Please, I'm begging you." I stood up and walked to the door. I opened it. "You should go, Rachel. You're not my problem, Vanessa. Good luck with everything." She stood there for a moment, trembling, tears streaming down her face. Then she turned and walked out. I closed the door behind her and sat back down at my desk. My hands were steady, my breathing was calm. I felt nothing but cold, clear certainty. I'd worked too hard to rebuild my life to let her walk back into it now. I didn't tell Daniel about Vanessa's visit right away. When I got home that evening, Benjamin was at the kitchen table doing his homework. He was 5 now, smart as a whip, with Daniel's dark curly hair and my stubborn streak. He looked up when I walked in and grinned. "Mommy, I got a gold star on my math test." I kissed the top of his head. "That's my brilliant boy. I'm so proud of you." Daniel was making dinner, and the smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the kitchen. He smiled at me over his shoulder. "Rough day?" "Long day," I said. "But I'm home now." That was true enough. I didn't want to bring Vanessa's ghost into my house. This place was mine, clean, safe, built from nothing by my own 2 hands. She didn't belong here, not even as a story. But that night, after Benjamin was asleep, and Daniel and I were sitting on the couch with tea, he noticed something was off. "You're quiet," he said. "More than usual." I sighed. "Vanessa showed up at my office today." His eyebrows shot up. "Your brother's wife? The one from the wedding disaster?" "That's the one." "What did she want?" "A job. She's desperate. They're about to lose their house, apparently." Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "What did you tell her?" "I told her no. I told her she's not my problem." He nodded slowly. "How do you feel about that?" That was the thing about Daniel. He never told me how to feel. He just asked, "I feel." I searched for the word. Nothing. I feel nothing. And I think that's exactly how I should feel. He squeezed my hand. "Then you did the right thing." I wanted to believe that. But over the next few days, something strange started happening. My phone started ringing. First it was my mom. "Rachel, sweetheart, I heard Vanessa came to see you. News travels fast. She's really struggling, honey. Marcus is struggling. They might lose everything. I know you're still upset about what happened, but don't you think it's time to let it go? They're family. I closed my eyes. Mom, I went into massive debt for their wedding. When I was sick and pregnant and terrified, they turned their backs on me. Vanessa literally said my son wasn't her responsibility. Why should their problems be mine? Because that's what family does. We help each other. Where was that energy 6 years ago? She sighed. Rachel, I'm not saying what they did was right. But you're in a position to help now, and they're drowning. Doesn't that matter? Not to me. Not anymore. I hung up before she could say anything else. The next day, my dad called. Then Marcus called from a number I didn't recognize, leaving a voicemail that I deleted without listening to. Then Vanessa's mother called, a woman I'd met exactly twice, begging me to reconsider. I blocked them all, but the pressure didn't stop. My mom showed up at my house one Saturday morning while Daniel was out with Benjamin at the park. She stood on my doorstep with her arms crossed, looking older and more tired than I remembered. We need to talk, Rachel. I don't think we do. I'm your mother. You're going to listen to me. I almost laughed. Fine. Come in. We sat in my living room. She looked around at the nice furniture, the framed photos of Benjamin, the life I'd built. I saw something flicker in her eyes. Pride, maybe. Or envy. This is a beautiful home, she said. Thank you. I worked hard for it. I know you did. You've always been the responsible one. The strong one. That's why I'm here. Marcus needs you, Rachel. He's your brother. He made mistakes, yes, but he's drowning. His marriage is falling apart. He's depressed. He's not eating. And you have the power to help him. By giving Vanessa a job she's not qualified for. By being the bigger person. By showing mercy. I leaned forward. Mom, do you remember when I called you from the hospital after Benjamin was born? When I had that infection and I was so scared I thought I might not make it home to my newborn son? She looked uncomfortable. Of course I remember. Do you remember what you said when I told you Marcus wouldn't help us? She didn't answer. You said, Marcus has his own life now, Rachel. You can't expect him to drop everything for you. Those were your exact words. You told me to figure it out on my own. So I did. I figured it out. And now you're asking me to drop everything for him? That's different. How? How is it different? Because he's struggling and you're not. There it was. The truth underneath all the guilt tripping. I was supposed to help because I'd succeeded and he'd failed. Because I'd climbed out of the hole and he was still in it. Because being the responsible one meant being responsible for everyone else forever. I stood up. I think you should leave. Rachel, I love you. Mom. But I'm done being the family ATM. I'm done being the backup plan. I'm done sacrificing myself for people who wouldn't do the same for me. Marcus made his choices. Vanessa made hers. They're adults. They'll figure it out. My mother's face hardened. You've become cold, Rachel. I don't recognize you anymore. Good, I said. The old me was a doormat. I like this version better. She left without another word. I cried after she was gone. Not because I regretted what I'd said, but because it hurt to disappoint her. It hurt to be seen as the villain when I'd been the victim first. But I didn't change my mind. 2 weeks later, I got an email at work. It was from Marcus. The subject line said, asterisk, please read this. Asterisk, I almost deleted it. But something made me open it. Asterisk, Rachel. Asterisk, asterisk, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I messed up. I know I took your money and didn't pay you back, and I wasn't there when you needed me. I was selfish and stupid, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, asterisk, asterisk, but I'm asking you to please reconsider helping Vanessa. I know she hurt you. I know what she said was unforgivable. But she's different now. We're both different. We've lost almost everything, and it's made us realize what actually matters. Asterisk. Asterisk Vanessa cries every night because she's so ashamed of how she treated you. She wants to apologize. She wants to make it right. Please give her a chance. Please. Asterisk, asterisk. If you won't do it for her, do it for me. I'm your brother. I love you. I miss you. I miss Benjamin. I haven't even met my nephew and that kills me every single day. Asterisk, asterisk, please. Rach, please. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I read it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and went back to work. He could miss me all he wanted. Actions had consequences. He was learning that now, and it wasn't my job to cushion the blow. But apparently, Marcus and Vanessa weren't giving up. because the following week I found out they'd gone nuclear. I got a text from an old college friend. Asterisk, hey, is everything okay? I just saw a post from your brother on social media and it sounds pretty intense. Asterisk. My stomach dropped. I opened the app I deleted years ago and searched for Marcus's name. There it was. A long public post, hundreds of comments, shared dozens of times. Asterisk, I don't usually do this, but I need to be honest about something. My sister Rachel has completely cut me and my wife out of her life, and it's tearing our family apart. Yes, we borrowed money from her years ago for our wedding. Yes, we struggled to pay her back, but we've apologized. We've tried to make amends. And now when we're facing the hardest time of our lives, she's refused to help us in any way. She works for a great company and could easily refer my wife for a job, but she won't. She's turned her back on us. I don't know what happened to my sister, but the Rachel I knew would never abandon family like this. I'm heartbroken. Asterisk. My hands were shaking. I scrolled through the comments. Some people were on his side. Asterisk, family should always come first. She sounds heartless. Asterisk. Others were skeptical. Asterisk, there's definitely more to this story. Asterisk, a few were brutal. Asterisk, maybe she's tired of being used. Ever think of that? Asterisk, I wanted to respond. I wanted to post the screenshots of Vanessa's texts, the records of the loan I'd given them, the proof that they'd gone on vacation while I was begging for help. I wanted to burn their lies to the ground, but I didn't, because engaging would only feed the fire. And besides, the people who mattered knew the truth. Daniel found me sitting on the floor of our bedroom staring at my phone. He took it gently from my hands and read the post. His jaw tightened. Do you want me to respond? I'll tell them exactly what happened. No, I said. Let them have their narrative. I know the truth. That's enough. But it didn't feel like enough. It felt like being punched in the stomach over and over again. The post stayed up for days. My phone exploded with messages from distant relatives and old acquaintances asking if I was okay, if the post was true, what really happened. I ignored all of them. Then something unexpected happened. My cousin Lisa, who I hadn't spoken to in years, commented on Marcus's post. She wrote, Asterisk, I'm sorry, but I have to call this out. I was at Rachel's house 6 years ago right after her son was born. She was recovering from a serious infection and could barely stand. She asked me if I knew anyone who could help with the baby for a few hours because her husband was overwhelmed. I asked why Marcus and Vanessa couldn't help, and she showed me a text from Vanessa saying, your son is not my responsibility. Rachel was in tears. She'd just gone into massive debt to pay for their dream wedding, and they couldn't even watch her baby for one afternoon. So before anyone judges Rachel, maybe ask Marcus why he's conveniently leaving that part out. Asterisk. The comment section erupted. People started questioning Marcus's version of events. More family members came forward with their own stories. Apparently, I wasn't the only person Marcus and Vanessa had borrowed money from and never paid back. Marcus deleted the post 6 hours later. But the damage was done. Not to me, to him. I got a text from my mom. Asterisk, I didn't know about the text from Vanessa. Why didn't you tell me? Asterisk, I didn't respond. 2 days later, Vanessa called me from yet another new number. I answered this time. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear what she had to say now that her public humiliation had backfired. Rachel, please don't hang up. You've got 1 minute. I'm so sorry. About the post, about everything. Marcus was desperate, and he thought if people knew the situation, you'd change your mind. It was stupid. I told him not to do it, but he didn't listen. Please believe me, I never wanted this to turn into a public thing. And yet it did, I know. And I'm sorry. Rachel, I need you to understand something. When I said that thing about Benjamin not being my responsibility, I was 24 years old and terrified. I'd never been around babies. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared I'd mess something up. It came out all wrong, and I've regretted it every single day since. You had 6 years to apologize. I was too ashamed. I was too embarrassed to face you. But I'm facing you now. I'm begging you. Please forgive me. Please help us. I'll do anything. I took a deep breath. Vanessa, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. When you told me my son wasn't your responsibility, you were right, he wasn't. But you know what else? You're not my responsibility either. Your marriage isn't my responsibility. Your financial problems aren't my responsibility. You made choices. You lived beyond your means. You burned bridges. And now you're dealing with the consequences. That's called being an adult. Please, I'm not gonna help you get a job at my company. I'm not gonna loan you money. I'm not gonna fix your life. And I'm not gonna feel guilty about it. You taught me that boundaries matter. So thank you for that lesson. I hope you figure things out. Goodbye, Vanessa. I hung up. I blocked the number. And this time I felt something close to peace. But the story wasn't over yet. Because 3 weeks later, I found out exactly how bad things had gotten for Marcus and Vanessa. And it was worse than I ever imagined. The call came from my father on a Tuesday evening while I was helping Benjamin with his reading homework. Rachel, we need to talk. It's about your brother. I sighed. Dad, I really don't want to. They lost the house. I stopped. Benjamin looked up at me, sensing the shift in my mood. I gave him a reassuring smile and stepped into the hallway. What do you mean they lost the house? Foreclosure. It went through last week. They're being evicted at the end of the month. They have nowhere to go. I leaned against the wall. I should have felt satisfaction, maybe even vindication. But all I felt was tired. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? Rachel, your brother and his wife are about to be homeless. Your mother and I can't take them in. We're barely making it in our apartment as it is. They need help. Then they should ask someone else. Who else is there? You're the only one in the family with means. You have a stable job? A house with extra rooms? No, Rachel, no, Dad, I'm not doing this. I'm not letting them move in here. I'm not giving them money. I'm not saving them from the consequences of their own decisions. They're adults. They'll figure it out. How can you be so heartless? This is your brother we're talking about. My brother who took $26,000 from me and never paid back a cent. My brother who ignored me when I was sick and terrified. My brother who posted lies about me on social media to manipulate me into helping him. That brother? My father was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You used to be kind, Rachel. You used to care about people. I still care about people. Just not people who treat me like an ATM with no feelings. There's a difference." He hung up without saying goodbye. I stood in the hallway for a few minutes trying to calm down. Daniel appeared with a cup of tea and wrapped his arms around me. You okay? Marcus and Vanessa lost their house, and let me guess. Everyone expects you to save them. You know me so well. He kissed my forehead. You know what I love about you? You're not mean, you're not cruel, you're just done. And that's okay. You're allowed to be done. I nodded against his chest. He was right. I was done. Completely, utterly, exhaustingly done. But the universe wasn't done with me yet. The next day at work, my assistant knocked on my office door again. She looked uncomfortable. Rachel, there's a man here to see you. He says he's your brother. My stomach tightened. Tell him I'm in a meeting. I did. He said he'll wait. He's been sitting in the lobby for 2 hours. I closed my eyes. I could call security. I could have him escorted out. But something told me that would only make things worse. Marcus was desperate, and desperate people did unpredictable things. Fine, send him in. Marcus looked terrible. He'd lost weight. His clothes were wrinkled and hung off his frame. His eyes were hollow, rimmed with dark circles. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. He stood in front of my desk just like Vanessa had. But unlike Vanessa, he didn't cry. He just looked at me with this blank, defeated expression. Hi, Rach. You need to stop showing up at my workplace, Marcus. I know, I'm sorry. But you won't answer my calls, and I didn't know what else to do. I need to talk to you, please. Just 5 minutes. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. He sat down heavily like his bones were made of lead. I'm listening. He took a shaky breath. We lost everything. The house is gone. We're staying in a motel right now, but we can only afford it for another week. After that, I don't know where we're going to go. Vanessa's been applying to jobs everywhere, but no one's hiring her. I've been doing delivery driving, but it's not enough. We're drowning, Rachel. We're completely drowning. I kept my face neutral. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Are you really sorry? Or are you happy that we're suffering? I'm not happy about it. But I'm not surprised by it either. You lived beyond your means for years. You borrowed money from multiple people and never paid them back. You made bad financial decisions over and over again. This isn't bad luck, Marcus. This is consequences. His jaw clenched. You sound like a robot. Like you don't even care that I'm your brother. I care. I just don't think caring means I have to fix your problems. I'm not asking you to fix everything. I'm just asking for help. Temporary help. Just until we get back on our feet. And what does temporary help look like? Money? A place to stay? A job for Vanessa? How much is enough, Marcus? How much do I have to give before I've paid my dues as your sister? You're twisting this. No, I'm clarifying it. Because every time I've helped you in the past, it's never been enough. There's always been something else. Another crisis. Another emergency. Another reason why you can't stand on your own 2 feet. And I'm done being your safety net. He stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. You know what? Mom was right. You have become cold. The Rachel I grew up with would never turn her back on family like this. The Rachel you grew up with was a doormat. She let people walk all over her because she thought that's what love looked like. But I learned something important over the past 6 years. Love isn't supposed to be one-sided. It's not supposed to leave you broke and exhausted and alone. So yeah, maybe I am cold now. But at least I'm not drowning anymore. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he shook his head. I hope you never need help, Rachel. Because when you do, you're going to remember this moment. You're going to remember how it felt to beg someone who's supposed to love you and have them look at you like you're nothing. I already know how that feels, Marcus. You taught me. He turned and walked out without another word. I sat at my desk for a long time after he left, staring at nothing. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. But somewhere deep inside there was a tiny crack. Not regret, exactly. Just ... sadness. Sadness that it had come to this. Sadness that my brother and I were strangers now. But I didn't call him back. I didn't change my mind. That weekend I got a series of texts from my mother. She'd clearly been talking to Marcus. Asterisk, you turned your brother away when he came to you for help. How could you? Asterisk, asterisk, he's living in motel, Rachel, a motel. Do you understand how humiliating that is for him? Asterisk, asterisk, you have a big house and plenty of money. You could easily let them stay with you for a few months. But you won't because you're holding a grudge. Asterisk, asterisk. I'm ashamed to call you my daughter right now, asterisk. That last one hit different. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed out a response. Asterisk, Mom, I want you to answer a question honestly. When I was 24 and working 2 jobs to help keep the lights on at your house, did you ever thank me? When I co-signed Marcus's apartment lease and put my credit on the line for him, did you ever acknowledge that I was sacrificing my own financial security? When I gave Marcus $26,000 for his wedding and went into debt, did you ever tell him he needed to pay me back? When I was sick and pregnant and terrified, did you ever tell him he needed to step up and help me the way I'd always helped him? Asterisk, asterisk. Or was I just supposed to keep giving and giving and giving because that's what the responsible child does? Asterisk, asterisk, I love you. But I'm done being punished for having my life together. Marcus's problems are not my fault, and they're not my responsibility. If you want to be ashamed of me, that's your choice. But I'm not ashamed of myself. Not anymore. Asterisk, she didn't respond. Not that day, not that week, not at all. The silence from my family was deafening. But it was also, strangely, peaceful. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't carrying the weight of everyone else's problems. I was just living my life, taking care of my husband and my son, doing my job, being present. It felt good. But then, about a month after Marcus's visit to my office, something happened that I didn't expect. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Rachel? It's Lisa, your cousin. Oh, hi, Lisa. Lisa was the one who defended me in the comments on Marcus's post. We'd exchanged a few messages after that, but nothing substantial. I'm calling because I thought you should know something. I saw Marcus and Vanessa at the grocery store yesterday. They were using food stamps, and Marcus looked ... Bad, Rachel. Really bad. He's lost so much weight, and he just looked defeated. Vanessa was crying in the parking lot. I didn't say anything. Lisa continued, I'm not calling to make you feel guilty. I know you've been through a lot with them, but I thought you should know that things are getting really serious. I'm worried about them. I appreciate you telling me, I said carefully. But I don't know what you want me to do with that information. I don't want you to do anything. I just ... I guess I wanted you to know. In case it mattered to you. It doesn't make me happy that they're struggling. But it doesn't change anything either. I understand. I really do. I just wanted to call. Take care of yourself, okay? You too. I hung up and sat with the information for a while. Marcus and Vanessa were on food stamps. They were barely surviving. And I had the power to change that with a single phone call. But I didn't make the call. Because here's the thing nobody talks about. You can feel bad for someone and still choose not to help them. You can acknowledge that someone is suffering and still maintain your boundaries. Compassion doesn't have to mean martyrdom. I'd learned that the hard way. 2 weeks later, I got another unexpected call. This time it was from a former coworker named Jennifer who'd left my company a year ago to work at a different firm. Rachel, hi. I hope you don't mind me calling. I got your number from the company directory before I left. Of course not. What's up? Okay, so this is kind of weird, but I had to tell you. A woman named Vanessa applied for a position at my company yesterday. During the interview, she mentioned that she was your sister-in-law and that you could provide a reference. My boss asked me if I knew you, and I said yes. He wanted me to reach out and ask if you'd be willing to speak to Vanessa's character and work ethic. My blood went cold. She listed me as a reference without asking me? Apparently. I told my boss I'd check with you first before passing along your contact information. I figured you'd want to know. I closed my eyes. Of course Vanessa had done this. She was desperate, and desperate people took desperate measures. Jennifer, I appreciate you calling me, but I'm not comfortable providing a reference for Vanessa. We're not on good terms, and I don't think I can give an honest recommendation. That's what I thought. I'll let my boss know. Thanks for being straight with me. Thank you for checking first. After we hung up, I felt a mix of emotions. Anger that Vanessa had tried to use my name without permission. Frustration that even now, they were trying to manipulate situations to their advantage. But also a grim satisfaction that I'd been able to stop it. I wondered if Vanessa would get the job without my reference. Probably not. And that was her problem, not mine. That night, Daniel noticed I was quiet during dinner. Penny, for your thoughts? I told him about the call from Jennifer. He shook his head. They really don't quit, do they? Apparently not. Are you okay? I thought about it. Yeah, I am. It's just exhausting, you know. I keep thinking it's over, and then there's another thing. Another attempt to pull me back in. They'll give up eventually. Once they realize you're serious, I hope you're right. But I wasn't sure he was. Because people like Marcus and Vanessa didn't give up. They just got more creative with their manipulation. And I was right. 3 days later, I came home from work to find my mother sitting on my front porch. I froze. We hadn't spoken in over a month, not since the text conversation where she'd said she was ashamed of me. Mom, what are you doing here? She stood up slowly. She looked older than I remembered. Frailer, I came to talk to you. Face to face. Because I owe you an apology. That was the last thing I expected to hear. I unlocked the door and let her in. We sat in my living room. Benjamin was at a friend's house, and Daniel was working late. It was just the two of us. I've been doing a lot of thinking, my mother said slowly. About everything that's happened, about what you said in your text. And you were right, Rachel. I never thanked you for all the times you helped us. I never acknowledged how much you sacrificed. I just expected it because you were the responsible one. And that wasn't fair. I didn't trust myself to speak, so I just nodded. She continued, I also talked to Lisa. She told me about the text Vanessa sent you, but the one about Benjamin not being her responsibility. I didn't know about that. And when I found out ... single quotes, she shook her head. I was horrified. I can't believe I pressured you to help them after they'd treated you that way. Why are you telling me this now? Because I was wrong. And because you deserved better from me. From all of us. She reached out and took my hand. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. I felt tears prickling at my eyes. I'd waited years to hear those words. Thank you, I whispered. I'm not asking you to help Marcus and Vanessa. That's your decision, and I'll respect whatever you choose. I just wanted you to know that I understand now, and I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. We talked for another hour. She told me about her life, about my father, about how they were managing. I told her about Benjamin's progress in school, about Daniel's work, about my promotion at the company. It felt like the first real conversation we'd had in years. Before she left, she hugged me tight. I love you, Rachel. I should have said that more often. I love you too, Mom. After she left, I sat on the couch and cried. Not sad tears. Relief tears. Like a weight I'd been carrying for decades had finally been lifted. But even that moment of peace didn't last long. Because the next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from my father and a voicemail that made my blood run cold. Rachel, it's Dad. You need to call me back immediately. Marcus is in the hospital. He collapsed yesterday. They think it's from stress and malnutrition. He's in bad shape, honey. Really bad shape. Please call me. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. Daniel stirred beside me. What's wrong? It's Marcus. He's in the hospital. I stared at my phone, my finger hovering over my father's contact. This was the moment. The moment where I had to decide who I was going to be. Was I going to rush to the hospital? Was I going to pay his medical bills? Was I going to let him move into my house and take care of him while he recovered? Or was I going to hold the line I'd drawn? I took a deep breath, and I made my choice. I called my father back. He answered on the first ring. Rachel, thank God. Did you get my message? I did. What hospital is he at? St. Mary's. He's in the ICU. Rachel, you need to come. He's asking for you. I closed my eyes. What exactly happened? He collapsed at the motel yesterday afternoon. Vanessa found him unconscious. The doctors said his blood pressure was dangerously low and he's severely malnourished. They're running tests, but they think the stress and lack of proper food has been destroying his body. He needs to be monitored for at least a week, maybe longer. Is he going to be okay? They think so. But Rachel, he doesn't have insurance. The bills are going to be astronomical, and once he's released, he'll need somewhere to recover. Somewhere stable with proper meals and rest. Your mother and I can't take him in. I know. There was a long pause. Will you come see him? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no. Wanted to maintain the boundary I'd worked so hard to establish. But another part of me, a part I thought I'd buried, remembered the brother who used to build blanket forts with me when we were kids. The brother who'd held my hand at our grandmother's funeral. The brother who existed before money and weddings and betrayal changed everything. I'll come, I said finally. But I'm not making any promises beyond that. That's all I'm asking. I got dressed in silence. Daniel offered to come with me, but I told him to stay with Benjamin. I needed to do this alone. The drive to the hospital took 30 minutes. 30 minutes of my mind racing through every possible scenario. What would I say to Marcus? What would he say to me? Would Vanessa be there? Would my mother pressure me to take him in? When I arrived at the ICU, I found my parents in the waiting room. My mother stood and hugged me immediately. Thank you for coming. My father looked exhausted. He's stable now. They're allowing visitors, but only one at a time. Vanessa's in there now. Of course she was. I sat down and waited. 20 minutes later, Vanessa emerged from Marcus's room. When she saw me, she froze. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in the past few months. Rachel, you came. How is he? Weak. So weak. But he's awake. She twisted her hands together. He really wants to see you. I nodded and stood up. As I passed her, she grabbed my arm. Rachel, please. Whatever you're feeling about me, about us, please don't take it out on him. He's suffering enough. I pulled my arm free. I'm not here to hurt him, Vanessa. I'm here because he's my brother. I walked into the ICU room and stopped short. Marcus looked like a skeleton. His cheeks were hollow, his skin was gray, and there were tubes and monitors attached to him everywhere. When he saw me, his eyes filled with tears. Ratch, you're here. I pulled a chair up beside his bed. Yeah, I'm here. I didn't think you'd come. Neither did I. He tried to laugh, but it came out as a weak cough. I'm a mess, huh? You look like you've been through a war. Feels like it too. He closed his eyes for a moment. I'm sorry for everything. I know I've said it before, but I mean it. I'm so sorry for how I treated you. For taking your money and not paying you back. For not being there when you needed me. For the social media post. For everything. I sat there, looking at my brother hooked up to machines, barely hanging on, and I felt something crack inside me. Not enough to change everything, but enough to soften the edges of my anger. Why did you let it get this bad, Marcus? Why didn't you ask for help before it got to this point? Pride, I guess. And shame. I knew I'd screwed up so badly with you that I didn't deserve to ask for anything else. So I just kept trying to fix it myself, but everything I tried failed. Every job fell through, every plan collapsed. Before I knew it, we were living in a motel and I was eating 1 meal a day so Vanessa could have 2. That's not sustainable. I know. My body figured that out before my brain did. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he said, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to help us. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry and that I love you. And that I'm proud of what you've built for yourself. You deserved better than me as a brother. I felt tears sliding down my cheeks. You weren't always a bad brother. You were a good brother who made some really bad choices. That's generous of you. It's the truth. He reached for my hand and I let him take it. His grip was weak, but it was there. Can I ask you something? He said. Okay. Do you hate me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I don't hate you. I'm angry at you. I'm disappointed in you, but I don't hate you. That's more than I deserve. We talked for another 20 minutes. Nothing deep, just small talk about his treatment plan, about Benjamin, about the weather. It felt strange and familiar at the same time. When I left his room, my parents were waiting. How is he? My mother asked. Weak, but stable. My father stood up. Rachel, we need to talk about what happens when he's discharged. He can't go back to that motel. He needs proper care. Here it was, the ask, the expectation. I know what you're going to say, I said carefully. And I need you to understand something. I'm willing to help, but not the way you think. My mother frowned. What do you mean? I'm willing to pay for Marcus to stay in a recovery facility for 2 weeks after he's discharged, somewhere with medical supervision and proper meals. I'll cover the cost completely. But after those 2 weeks, he and Vanessa need to figure things out on their own. I'm not taking them into my home. I'm not giving them money beyond this. This is a one-time safety net, and then they're on their own. My father opened his mouth to argue, but my mother put her hand on his arm. That's more than fair, she said quietly. Thank you, Rachel. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because he's my brother and he's in crisis. But this is it. After this, I'm done. My father nodded slowly. We understand. I spent another hour at the hospital handling logistics. I called around and found a recovery facility that had an opening. It wasn't cheap. $3,000 for 2 weeks, but it was comprehensive. Medical supervision, 3 meals a day, therapy sessions. Everything Marcus would need to get back on his feet. When I told Marcus about it, he started crying. I don't deserve this. No, you don't, but I'm doing it anyway. Why? Because despite everything, you're still my brother. And I'm not the kind of person who can watch you destroy yourself, even if you hurt me first. But this is it, Marcus. After this, you're on your own. I need you to understand that. I understand. I swear, I understand. Single quotes. Vanessa cornered me in the hallway as I was leaving. Rachel, wait, please. I turned to face her. She looked small and broken. I know you're doing this for Marcus, not for me. But I need you to know that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we never need to ask you for anything again. I'm going to find a job. I'm going to work 3 jobs if I have to. We're going to get our lives together. I promise. Vanessa, you don't owe me promises, you owe me results. You're right. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove that we can stand on our own. I wanted to believe her. But I'd heard promises before. Good luck, I said, and I meant it. Not in a sarcastic way. In a genuine, I hope you figure it out way. Because at the end of the day, their success or failure wasn't about me anymore. The next 2 weeks were busy. I visited Marcus twice at the recovery facility. He looked better each time, more color in his face, more strength in his voice. Vanessa had apparently found a job at a call center. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady income. She was working full-time and looking for a second part-time position. My parents kept me updated, and for once they didn't ask me for anything. They just expressed gratitude. On the last day of Marcus's stay at the facility, I went to visit him one final time. He was sitting up in bed looking healthier than I'd seen him in months. Hey, Rach. Hey. You look good. I feel human again. He smiled. They've been feeding me like crazy here. I think I've gained back 10 pounds. Good. You needed it. He nodded. I'm being discharged tomorrow. Vanessa found us a small apartment. It's not much, just a studio, but it's clean and affordable. She's been working crazy hours to save up for the deposit. That's great, Marcus. I'm glad things are looking up. It's because of you. You saved my life, Rachel. Literally, I gave you a chance. You're the one who has to take it from here. I know. And I will, I promise. We talked for a while longer. He told me about the therapy sessions he'd had at the facility, about how he was starting to understand the patterns that had led him to this point, about how he wanted to be better. Do better. I listened, and I hoped he meant it. Before I left, he said, "Can I ask you one more thing?" "What? Do you think maybe someday we could have a relationship again? Not like before, but something. I miss you. I miss being your brother." I thought about it carefully. Maybe, but it's going to take time. A lot of time. And you're going to have to prove that you've changed. Not with words, but with actions. I understand, and I need you to know that even if we rebuild a relationship, it's never going to be like it was. I'm never going to be your safety net again. You're going to have to stand on your own. I know, and I'm okay with that. I nodded. Then maybe someday. That was 3 months ago. Since then, Marcus and Vanessa have been living in their studio apartment. Vanessa is still working at the call center and picked up a weekend job at a retail store. Marcus started working at a warehouse once he was cleared by his doctors. They're not thriving, but they're surviving, and they're doing it on their own. They send me updates occasionally through my parents. Small things. Marcus got promoted to a shift supervisor position. Vanessa got Employee of the Month. They're paying their bills on time. They're rebuilding. I haven't seen them in person since that last visit at the recovery facility. But my mother tells me Marcus talks about me sometimes, about how grateful he is, about how he wants to pay me back for the recovery facility even though I told him not to worry about it. Maybe he will someday, maybe he won't. Either way, I'm okay with it. Because here's what I learned through all of this. Boundaries aren't cruel. Protecting yourself isn't selfish. And you can love someone and still choose not to save them. I spent so many years being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who sacrificed everything for everyone else. And it nearly destroyed me. It took losing everything, my savings, my health, my sense of self, to realize that I couldn't keep lighting myself on fire to keep other people warm. Setting boundaries with Marcus and Vanessa was the hardest thing I've ever done. Watching them struggle and choosing not to intervene went against every instinct I had. But it was also the most important thing I've ever done, because it taught them that actions have consequences. It taught them that they couldn't rely on me to bail them out forever. And it taught me that I was worth protecting. Do I regret helping Marcus in the end? No. When he was in the hospital, genuinely at rock bottom, I made a choice to extend one final hand. Not because I owed it to him, but because I owed it to myself to know that I'd done everything I could without sacrificing my own well-being. That was my line, and I held it. Life is different now. Better. Daniel and I are planning to have another baby. Benjamin is thriving in school. My career is flourishing, and for the first time in my adult life, I'm not carrying anyone else's burdens. My relationship with my parents has improved dramatically since my mother apologized. We talk regularly, and they respect my boundaries now. They don't pressure me about Marcus anymore. They just give me updates and let me decide how much I want to be involved. Which right now is not very much. And that's okay. Last week I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "Hi Rachel, this is Marcus. I got a new phone. I just wanted to say thank you again for everything you did for me. I'm doing better, I'm working hard. And I hope that one day we can have coffee and just talk like siblings again. No pressure. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. Tell Benjamin his uncle says hi." I stared at that text for a long time. Then I replied, "I'm glad you're doing better. Keep it up. Maybe coffee someday. Take care." It wasn't warm. It wasn't effusive, but it was honest. And that felt right. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with Marcus and Vanessa. Maybe we'll rebuild something eventually. Maybe we won't. But I know one thing for certain. I will never again sacrifice my own stability for someone else's comfort. Because the old Rachel, the one who gave away $26,000 she didn't have, the one who worked herself sick trying to please everyone, the one who set herself on fire to keep others warm, she's gone. And the new Rachel? She's someone I'm actually proud to be. Update 1. 2 months later, I need to share something that happened last week because it was both validating and surreal. I was at a coffee shop near my office waiting for my drink when I heard someone call my name. I turned around and saw Vanessa standing there with a to-go cup in her hand. She looked different. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She was wearing a call center uniform polo shirt and khaki pants. No designer handbag, no perfect makeup. She looked ... normal. Tired, but normal. Rachel. Hi, Vanessa. There was an awkward pause. Then she said, do you have a minute? I promise I'm not here to ask you for anything. I just want to talk. I almost said no. But curiosity got the better of me. 5 minutes. We sat at a corner table. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup like she was trying to warm them. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, she started, and I respect that. But I've been in therapy for the past 2 months, and my therapist suggested I try to make amends with the people I've hurt. Not to get anything from you, just to acknowledge what I did and apologize properly. I didn't say anything. I just waited. When I told you that Benjamin wasn't my responsibility, I was speaking from a place of selfishness and immaturity. I was so focused on my own life, my own wants, that I couldn't see past myself. I didn't understand what you'd sacrificed for us. I didn't understand what it meant to be family, and by the time I did understand, I was too ashamed to face you. She paused, her eyes welling up. You saved Marcus's life. You could have let him hit rock bottom completely, but you didn't. You gave him a chance to recover, and that changed everything. He's different now. We're both different. And I know you didn't do it for me, but I'm grateful anyway. Vanessa, please let me finish. I'm not asking for a relationship with you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking that you know that I understand what I did. I understand how badly I hurt you, and I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. I looked at her, this woman who'd once been so polished and perfect, now sitting across from me in a coffee shop uniform, looking genuinely remorseful. And I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, exactly, but something close to it. Acceptance, maybe. Thank you for saying that, I said quietly. I appreciate it. How's Benjamin? I hesitated. Then I pulled out my phone and showed her a recent picture. He's 6 now. He's doing great. She smiled and it looked genuine. He's beautiful. He has your eyes. He does. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me about her therapy, about how she and Marcus were working on their marriage, about the financial literacy classes they were taking together. She didn't ask me for anything. She didn't fish for compliments or validation. She just talked, and then she thanked me for my time and left. I sat there for a while after she was gone, processing the conversation. It felt like closure. Not complete closure, but enough. When I got home that night, I told Daniel about it. How do you feel? He asked. Honestly, I feel okay. She seemed genuine, and I'm glad they're getting help. Do you think you'll ever have a real relationship with them again? I don't know. Maybe. But if I do, it'll be on my terms. And it'll be slow. He kissed my forehead. That sounds healthy. It did. It felt healthy. Asterisk, asterisk, update 2, 4 months later. Asterisk, asterisk, something incredible happened yesterday. I was at work when I got a notification from my bank. Someone had deposited $500 into my account with a note that said, asterisk, first payment toward what we owe you. Thank you for everything. Marcus, asterisk. I stared at my phone in shock. I'd never expected them to actually start paying me back. I'd written off that money years ago. I called Marcus. He answered on the second ring. Rach, hey, did you get the deposit? I did. Marcus, you didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. You paid for my recovery. You gave me a second chance at life. The least I can do is start paying back the debt. It's going to take a while, but Vanessa and I talked about it and we want to do this right. $500 a month until it's paid off. Marcus, that's going to take you years, I know, but I need to do it. Not just for you, but for me. I need to prove to myself that I can keep my word. I felt tears pricking at my eyes. Okay, thank you. No, thank you. For not giving up on me completely. After we hung up, I sat at my desk and cried 10 sad tears. Relief tears. Validation tears. Because after all these years of feeling used and discarded, my brother was finally showing me through his actions that he'd changed. $500 a month won't erase the past. It won't undo the hurt. But it's a start. And sometimes a start is enough. Asterisk, asterisk, update 3, 6 months later. Asterisk, asterisk. I need to tell you about something that happened at Benjamin's 7th birthday party last month. We had a small gathering at our house. Just family and a few of Benjamin's friends from school. My parents came, Daniel's parents came, and after some discussion, I'd invited Marcus and Vanessa. It was the first time they'd been to my house, the first time Marcus had met Benjamin. I was nervous, but I'd decided it was time. When they arrived, Marcus was holding a wrapped present. Vanessa had a homemade cake. They both looked nervous. Benjamin ran up to them immediately. "Are you my Uncle Marcus?" Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Yeah, buddy. I'm your Uncle Marcus. Cool. Mom said you've been working really hard. She said you're really strong." I'd told Benjamin a simplified version of everything. That his uncle had been going through a hard time but was doing better now. That sometimes adults make mistakes but can learn from them. Marcus knelt down to Benjamin's level. "Your mom's right. I've been learning a lot. And I'm really, really happy to finally meet you." They hugged, and I had to turn away because I was crying. The party was good. Awkward at moments, but good. Marcus and Vanessa stayed in the background mostly, not pushing for attention or trying to insert themselves into everything. They were respectful, appropriate. At one point, Marcus pulled me aside. "Thank you for inviting us. This means everything. Benjamin deserves to know his uncle, and you deserve a chance to be part of his life. But Marcus, I need you to understand something. This is fragile. If you mess this up, if you hurt him or disappoint him, there won't be another chance. I understand. I promise I won't let you down." "I won't let him down, good." Before they left, Vanessa hugged me. It was brief and awkward, but it was something. "Thank you, Rachel, for everything. I know we don't deserve your grace, but I'm grateful for it. Just keep moving forward," I told her. "That's all I ask." After they left, Daniel wrapped his arms around me. "You okay?" "Yeah. I think I am. You did a good thing today, I hope so." Benjamin came running up to us. "Mom, Uncle Marcus is really cool. Can he come to my next birthday too?" I smiled. "Maybe, baby. We'll see." And for the first time in years, that maybe felt genuine. Like there was actually a possibility of rebuilding something real. Asterisk, asterisk, final update. Asterisk, asterisk, it's been a year since I started writing this story. A year since Vanessa showed up at my office desperate for a job and I turned her away. A year of boundaries, growth, healing, and unexpected redemption. Marcus and Vanessa have now paid me back $6,000 total. They've never missed a monthly payment. They're still living in their studio apartment, still working their jobs, still going to therapy. They're not perfect, but they're trying. Genuinely trying. My relationship with them is still complicated. We're not as close as we were before everything fell apart, and we probably never will be. But we're building something new. Something healthier. Something based on respect and boundaries rather than obligation and guilt. Marcus sees Benjamin once a month now. They go to the park or get ice cream. Nothing extravagant, just quality time. And Benjamin adores his uncle, which makes my heart both full and cautious. My parents have told me multiple times how proud they are of how I handled everything. How I stood my ground but also showed grace when it mattered. That means more to me than they know. As for me, I'm doing better than I ever have. Daniel and I are expecting our second child in 3 months. My career is thriving. Benjamin is happy and healthy. And most importantly, I've learned the difference between being kind and being a doormat. I learned that you can love people and still protect yourself. That setting boundaries doesn't make you cruel, it makes you wise. That saying no doesn't make you heartless, it makes you honest. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is let them face the consequences of their actions. Because that's how people grow. That's how they learn. That's how they become better versions of themselves. Would I do anything differently if I could go back? Maybe. Maybe I would have set boundaries earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have given them $26,000 in the first place. But I can't change the past. I can only learn from it. And here's what I want anyone reading this to know. You are not responsible for fixing other people's lives. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to choose yourself. Family is important. Love is important. But so are you. To the person who's been the responsible one their whole life. The one everyone leans on. The one who sacrifices everything for everyone else. You deserve rest. You deserve support. You deserve people who show up for you the way you've always shown up for them. And if they're not willing to do that, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to close the door. It's okay to build a life that doesn't include people who only value you for what you can give them. I went into debt so my brother could have the wedding of his dreams. When I got sick, his wife said my son wasn't her responsibility. Years later, when she came to me desperate for work, I looked at her and said, "You're right, you're not my problem." And I'd make that same choice again. 'Cause choosing myself wasn't cruel, it wasn't necessary. It was survival, it was self-respect. And in the end, it gave my brother and his wife something I could never give them by enabling their dysfunction. The chance to stand on their own 2 feet, the chance to grow, the chance to become people worthy of being in my life again. Not everyone gets a redemption arc. Not everyone deserves one. But sometimes, when you hold the line long enough, when you refuse to budge on your boundaries, people surprise you. They rise to meet the standard you've set. They become better because you refuse to accept less. That's what happened with Marcus and Vanessa. And while I'm glad for their growth, I'm even more glad for my own. Because the woman I am now, the one who can say no without guilt, who can set boundaries without apology, who can choose herself without shame, she's someone I'm proud to be. She's someone who's finally free.